Hi, this is Andrea, and I'd like to share my perspective on a video that has been uploaded on the channel called Arcturus RA. And Arcturus is a name that this human being has given himself, as he has believed himself into being a member of some Federation Council of enlightened beings. And specifically, he says that he's part of some Arcturian Council, which is now giving information about December the 21st, 2012, when apparently there are these alignments that are supposed to take place. The significant date of the Planetary Alignment, apparently where we are supposed to reach an enlightened, heightened sense of consciousness, the tip of consciousness, where there's going to be planetary alignments. All consciousness is going to be aligned so that we are going to become more of ourselves, more aware, information which is going to be activated so that humans can start reaching our true potential. Now, in this video, I specifically want to cover 2 points. I want to discuss, in my previous video that I did about light workers, called Light Workers Are the Elite, I specifically spoke about light workers being the elite, not having anything to do with actual being rich monetarily. The video does not at any point speak about that if you are a light worker it means you have a lot of money. I was speaking about light workers are the elite in the context of light workers have a tendency of focusing on spreading information and knowledge as beautiful words, colors, pictures. You'll see there's always a lot of pictures that they use with enlightened crystal star seed children with sparkly garments standing next to a sparkly river with a sparkly moon in the sky, and everything is about this enlightenment and beautification of the human as part of some spiritualized concept of ourselves. And that is why light workers like using beautiful pictures, because it somehow represents a part of us that we will tap into if we become more enlightened and possibly ascend and possibly allow ourselves to tap into this enlightened part of ourselves. Now, the point of that video was that if you are in your mind participating in these beautiful energies, pictures and colors, and you actually have the time and the resources to go onto your computer and create these beautiful little pictures with stars and moons and planets and, crystal children and crystals and sparkliness, you actually have that ability. And through this, you are manipulating people who are looking for answers to human suffering, and you are, through your own brainwashing, trying to brainwash other people into believing, no, we don't have to sort out the problems of this world. We don't have to sort out the underlying causes of why there is human suffering on this planet. We just have to follow certain procedures and steps and awaken ourselves and awaken our true potential, heighten our consciousness, and then all suffering will end. And my perspective within that video was that any person who can sit and talk imagery, symbols, colors from within the mind and present that as if it is a real solution to people within the world who are questioning the real suffering and the causes of real suffering, you are an elitist, because you have the time and the luxury to sit in your mind and come up with these beautiful pictures, which you can just go on the internet and find all these websites about Federation Councils and enlightened beings to draw information from, to then compile your own pretty pictures and websites and web pages and make beautiful videos for YouTube, and then you can present it as if it's real. And this makes you feel better. And for a moment, by becoming your thought pattern of light, love, enlightenment, higher vibrations, you now feel better about who you are within the world, because you've now apparently changed. So all this suffering and abuse is going on out there, and it is separate from you because you're over here and you've changed your vibration to accept light and love and to accept everything that is beautiful and positive. Then you make pretty pictures on your computer and you publish it, saying to people, focus on this and align yourself to what I've done, and you will also know the same joy. So the point of that video, which of course a lot of comments that I'm receiving on that video is, I'm a light worker and I'm very poor. My friend, the fact that you could log on to YouTube and leave me a comment saying, I'm a light worker, I'm very poor, just reiterates the 2 points that I was making within that video. The first point being, if you have access to a computer, you have a hell of a lot more than a person who is living in absolute squalor, where the rich and the capitalists and the elites of the world have made the decision to categorize people according to class, because we're in a comfortable class and we want to keep our comfortable middle to upper class income brackets, and we want to be able to have rich versus poor because it makes us feel better. And we have condemned millions of beings every single day into lives where they are abused, raped, tortured, people who cannot feed themselves, people who are dying of starvation, beings who are trapped within socio-political situations where they have no outcome. They don't even have a YouTube where they can go and make a video to say to somebody, this is what I am and this is my experience. They live in that squalor, they live in that abuse, and that any person that can make a beautiful, pretty video giving it sparkly pictures and colors to spiritualize the suffering that's happening on earth is an elitist. You're entertaining yourself. And the second point is that you are addicted to suffering. Seriously, I mean, if you say to me, I'm a light worker and I'm very poor, you're basically saying to me, look, I want to stick to what light workers do. I don't want to solve the suffering and abuse which is on my doorstep. I admit, I live from month to month, probably with a job that is a very basic income, or I have no job and I'm living off money from the state, and I actually have all of these survival fears going on, like most humans on this planet, like, how am I going to pay my bills next month? What if my car gets taken away? How am I going to pay for my child's education? Stuff like that. But you have learned to deal with it and cope with it by spiritualizing your experience, as every single human has done who has spiritualized our existence here, by giving our suffering and our actions and our fate in this world a spiritual explanation. So that is that further insight, and answering the question from many light workers that have said to me, how can I say that light workers are the elite when most light workers are actually very poor because they've dedicated their lives to doing light work? I suggest watch the video again, because at no point there do I say that light workers have a lot of money or that they make a lot of money from what they do. I'm saying you are in a comfortable position to entertain yourself in your mind. You are not in the gutter starving, feeding yourself and your children mud to survive. You are the one who is able to entertain yourself by making videos of pretty pictures, which directly says, look, I still support the same capitalistic value systems that have placed those beings into compromising positions, and I support it so much that I'm going to go on YouTube and I'm going to make pretty pictures about us continuing the acceptance. I'm going to blast everybody's brains with pretty dazzly sparkly pictures of moons and planets, so that everybody is further lulled into accepting capitalism, accepting the human value systems as it become, and I'm going to be the artist to prettify the world systems as they are right now, because nowhere, as an enlightened light worker, who has apparently opened myself up to a heightened sense of awareness, have I at any point considered, oh, wait a minute, my light worker and raising my frequency workings has not at any point changed the abuse that is happening in the world. There is no measurable sort of yardstick where you can say that it has changed that, it has changed that, and there is change happening. That has not ever happened. Everything is getting worse, and if you use basic maths, you can see for yourself that everything is getting worse, and it's not some mystical, divine, mathematical equation linking to the alignments of the planet, which linking to the fifth star of the consciousness of the fourth generation. You can use basic maths to walk the timeline of how did we get where we are now. Human greed, human suffering, human abuse. You can look at what the human accepts and allows every single day, the decisions that we as individuals make to accept the system the way it is, to say, yes, for example, I'm going to make a beautiful sparkly picture, because it's so much easier than changing the money system so that everybody has a dignified life from birth. That would be probably the physical, sustainable solution, but I'm not going to go for that. I'm going to go for leaving capitalism as it is, but raising my frequency. So what are you going to do if you've raised your frequency and now you come up to capitalism? Boom. What are you going to do? How are you going to change the system within the system? And the self-honesty that is the system, which is based on corruption, greed, self-interest of the individual, how are you going to change that with heightened vibrations? Because thus far, all the light workers that have come together and answered their calling have not been able to change anything about capitalism, anything about the corrupt, abusive nature of the human, which every single day people are growing up in this world making the decision to not only survive monetarily, but to survive as the mind, to survive as the ego, as self-interest, as what I want for this lifetime, and I want what the best experience, what's going to make me happy energetically, and I don't care. Right now as we speak, billions of people are growing up making those decisions for themselves and actively participating within the world systems as it is. There's nothing mystical about that. That is a fact. And yet there's all these light workers that have answered their calling that are apparently vibrating us all into correctiveness, and it's not making a difference. The only thing that does happen, and this is going to focus and take me into my next point, is that it allows the light worker to separate oneself into a state of guruness, of sitting in a beautiful chair with a beautiful background and speaking as if you are an enlightened being that is so many thousands of years old, and you are here in this human form to assist mankind. For example, and I'm not directly sort of taking on this individual per se. I just happened to open his video and watched half of it, and this is an example that ties in with what I've just discussed before. So this Arcturus RA individual, a human being like you and me, he shits, he eats, he sleeps, he has to survive monetarily. I'm sure he does not go to the shop and pay the shop owner with balls of love. And he is speaking here about December the 21st and how there's going to be this planetary alignment and how what are going to be the changes. I'm now at 4 minutes, and here he speaks about what the changes are going to be, and I'm using this only as an example to again discuss basically what is really going on in the background. If you look behind the beauty of what you're seeing, where he has like a very mysterious, mystical, almost alien-like thing going on here. But if you remove the necklace and the very strong charactered black shirt and the chair and the silver in the background, it's a human being. However, it is a human being that has, for a moment, decided, look, I really, really like this idea of belonging to the Arcturian Council and calling myself an enlightened being and saying that I am some special, interdimensional being with all this insight, and that I've awoken and I'm here to share my insights with humanity. So basically, what I realized when I got to 4 minutes is that he is, as light worker, if I was to take away the word light worker, I would say worker for capitalism. Because here he says, after the alignment has taken place, what are the changes that we are going to notice? The changes will be projects that you've taken on that you were never able to complete, you're going to be able to complete. Business opportunities that you saw you were able to do, you're now going to be able to take on. Ideas that were not clear in your mind are going to become clear. And all of that speaks of capitalism, of every single human who, and he speaks of those who are not able to monetarily support themselves are now going to find themselves able to either find work, or their businesses are going to now succeed. The time is here that everyone will know success from a monetarily supportive perspective. So this is basically a worker for the money system. And if you look at this man who sits in this chair, my question to him and to all light workers, again linking in with the pretty picture world that light workers like to focus around to entertain themselves, does this light worker for a moment, and all other light workers, consider that the chair that you are sitting on, that beautiful red chair that makes you look like a king from another planet, an alien planet, does that chair get made, does it get made on an interdimensional planet where there's equality and everybody is one and everybody has reached their fullest potential and they've made this chair and sent it to you? Or was that chair made in a factory by people who earn minimum wages, and that the funds from that chair and the profit go to the people at the top, the capitalists, who make billions, while the little slaves that work in the factories have to get minimum wages, and Christmas time they have to sleep on the floor and so forth until they want to kill themselves? That beautiful silver curtain that you've got in the background to make yourself appear as if you're not really on planet Earth but in some mystical sort of atmosphere, is that made in the same environment, or is that made on planet Earth by the working class, for the elite, for the capitalists? Same with that necklace hanging around your neck, the shirt that you're wearing. So my question is to this Arcturus man who claims that all these changes will take place, does that mean that every single person on this planet after the 21st of December are all of a sudden going to have jobs? There's going to be jobs available to everybody. They're all going to have the potential to go to their market and go, I will have that bed, I will have that house, food, education for my children, thank you very much. Or what does that mean exactly, that everybody's potential will be there? So if you take into consideration capitalism as it exists right now, how are you as light worker considering that capitalism has very specific rules and regulations for participation? If you're saying that everybody is, woo, after the 21st of December going to be able to walk into any place and say, give me my groceries, you're saying that the system of capitalism is going to change to one of equality. Now my question to you is, which you're welcome to do video responses and or comments, is how do you see that changing? How does this planetary alignment change that? And what kind of measurement technique are you and other such members of similar groups going to use to measure, is this taking place? Because as I said in the past, nothing has changed, and now we're coming up to this big date, the 21st. I'm going to be very interested to see when the 21st has come and gone, what are the light workers and the prophets and the gurus and everybody who has used that date to, you know, sort of profit from, what is everybody going to say then? Oh yes, everybody has been upgraded, these downgrades of consciousness have happened and now the potential is there. But isn't that just normal capitalism? What has that got to do with going through all of this effort to project yourself to be this very classy looking figure as if you're from some other planet? And I mean, what's the point of that? What's the point of saying we've all raised our frequencies if we're all in any way trapped within capitalism, where the guy who's just had his consciousness download is now going to pop out the door and go and look for a job? And is there a measurement? I mean, do we know that so many people would have to distinctively, there would be so much less suffering a year? Big corporations are all of a sudden changing the way that they do things. They are, you know, going about it in a more equal manner. What kind of measurement is there? Because for me, if I look at any sort of philosophy that I have, or methodology or principle by which I would like to change the world, I always look at, is this measurable? Can it be implemented for everybody, by everybody? Can it be done? Is it mathematically sound? Where are the problems going to come in? What am I not considering? Meaning, am I suggesting something within my principle, my outline for change, that is this fantasy in my mind, that can only remain in my mind as a fantasy, and will always have to be a fantasy in the mind of the light workers, where every single year there can be 1,000 more light workers, people who all of a sudden become spiritual and start wearing crystals and start joining, you know, websites and groups of Light Federation members. That might appear as if there's more people becoming enlightened, but is it really? Because in the background you're still getting your things from capitalism, and you're supporting yourself in capitalism, and for you to buy your laptop and your computer and your special chair to record your videos in, capitalism is still happening in the background. So this is where I would ask myself the question, is humanity really changing, or am I simply going, I better get out now and escape more into my mind and go and raise my frequency? Okay, I'm a light worker, I'm good, I feel good, everything, the suffering can happen, but it's not who I am, I'm good. That is one way of doing it, but that is admitting that that is running away, and that's not taking everybody into consideration. It is not taking the current world system into consideration. And that top, let's say 21st, everything is aligned and we're all standing around like zombies, like, whoa, I've been downloaded with this consciousness. Then what? Have you considered that possibility, that everybody all of a sudden, okay, let's say some say you're going to ascend, so some are going to go, but what about the people who are going to remain here on the planet that, let's say, that are just heightened consciousness, and now we're all walking around and we're these super aware beings? Who's going to do the work? Who's going to produce the food? Who's going to distribute it? Who's going to redesign the system as it is now, taking into consideration all the human needs, that there might be some humans who are not aligned, some who are aligned? So I will wait for the 21st of December and keep making videos asking these questions until we can all sort of get to the point where we go, okay, all right, that was my self-honesty in the moment, was to find a comfortable escape route and coping mechanism for myself, and to want others to do the same, so that we're eventually all just doing the exact same thing, so that maybe ignoring the suffering can really be that much easier. But let's all start looking at, deleting all of that and standing up and saying, I'm here in this physical reality, in my physical body. What am I going to change to bring about a change for all equally? Thank you.